Welcome to your timeless reading, where I welcome you to play along with the devil, where the devil is your ego that doesn't know if it's of light or of darkness, so wants to play a game. King of Wands, Strength, the Star, the Lovers, Nine of Swords, Three of Swords, the Chariot. The devil's job is to make you curious, but the only way to make you curious is to also offer some sort of discomfort. Because curiosity, as you may have heard before, curiosity kills the cat. It is not that the curiosity itself of the cat brought its demise, of it to be then killed. It's not that. It is the benefit to also then know that another quote that is shared with that same philosophy is that nine lives are bestowed to a cat, right? That cats have 9 lives. The deepest issue that is hard for someone to become more vulnerable in accepting is that emotions are not something easily understood, if understood at all, by the universe. In the universe's philosophy and knowing, emotions are a mess. They are comprised of too much toxicity, and 1 degree of toxic energy implies that everything is impure. So we want to reach as much of the impurities with purity and match it with a sense of style. And that sense of style is an awareness, an ability to dance between the light and darkness of inquisition, and to reach choices that offer sovereignty. There's pain in socializing for an individual, meaning the depthness of where their consciousness explores and feels makes someone feel very lonely, despite them being around many people. However, what is enjoyed, not necessarily feeling fulfilled in the enjoyment of it, but it is tasteful, I would say, is a reminder that you are not alone, which makes certain social gatherings important for people and brings a sense of quality of mutual time spent together, making them more profound, right? This is also, I would say, maybe the quote-unquote season of it. You know, the recording time is end of November of 2022. So in that trajectory, there is this quote-unquote, again, traditional appeal to what we may or may not believe based on a certain culture or upbringing or choices or what we believe in innately. But despite it all, it can bring a sense of gathering, and that pull to gather is important for most people who feel alone in a spiritual knowing of any kind. And it's often the battle that is the toughest for someone who chooses a healing journey, because the value of what can be gained in pulling back and becoming isolated is profound. And the universe can offer a lot of security for a person that, quote unquote, disconnects themselves and becomes more precious in protecting their own sacred energy. However, it's also important to challenge oneself not to become too isolated and miss out on a human experience, right? With adventure, with intimacy of life. The struggle for most here, and it's coming up a lot lately, is the inability to have a solid night's rest. Feeling the guilt of former times come up the moment you try to rest or go into slumber, or even napping of some kind is difficult to it's just difficult for someone to really embrace or even get a solid night's sleep here. I'm hearing their sleep is being interrupted. It's also an opportunity to travel that awareness and see what clues could be offered for you in those experiences, in that pain, to travel the pain of awareness, let's put it that way, or to travel the pain in order to reach some sort of awareness is better than not doing it at all. The sun, Ten Swords, the Empress energy. What's helping someone is to go with seasonal changes. Sheesh. Those seasonal changes are allowing you to, it's forcing you to put on the mask of survival here, because the devil energy here is pushing forth that clarity that you need right now. Strange to say it that way, but the ego of the sun is telling you in this moment of this energy reading that to have a good relationship with your ego helps put your emotions out there. For some, it hides certain emotions because it is the mask of your ego really showing up, and that's where some of the difficulty is, where still some residual stress could still linger there with the Ten of Swords energy, making it like, ugh, it's so exhausting, this continuous pattern, this never-ending story kind of thing. But the Empress here proves that wanting to show up and become aware of the things that make you stressful is a way of already traveling the discomforts of your consciousness. And in more ways than one, embodying the Empress energy, because you're allowing yourself to take in this energy of the sun that's illuminating, that's warming. And even if with seasonal changes, the sun may not be always around, or not as strong, it's not as hot, or maybe too hot wherever you are, there's an energy to the sun that never really changes. It's just a perspective of it, and your like existence in the way it crosses your geographical makeup here. It's so strange. It's like wherever you are geographically is how the sun is going to hit you differently, right? But philosophically, like, and spiritually, taking that energy and you're allowing yourself to travel with it. It's like almost to say that your ego is your best friend right now. Unless you're enjoying taking a ride with the devil, because it's your ego. Especially when you're talking about it in tarot. There's a gender identity coming forth here. So someone wanting to become more aligned with the gender of what it is their light body is telling them they are. The universe is non-binary. It only operates in feminine and masculine energy. And it doesn't necessarily matter whether you're a feminine or masculine bodied. It's more about the light body speaking to an individual, and in the individual making a decision for themselves. Hence why overall, the more people that are attached to this type of philosophy makes it more of a karmic situation of inquisition, because everyone has some sort of opinions and judgments. When it's a decision that is a soul decision to make, meaning solo. And void of persuasion. We have the Five of Wands. Learning to trust the best friend of your ego, because the ego is doing the work, fighting for your survival. The ego is showing up and asking whether or not you have the confidence. Can you look over your shoulder and say that you are proud of what it is, of the footprints you're leaving behind? Three of Wands, Temperance, Seven of Wands, Ace of Wands, Page of Swords, Three of Cups, the Emperor. Oh, the Hierophant. Building a better relationship to understand what intuition is all about helps you to subjectify what ego is compared to that. Knowing the difference between the two, but also figuring out how both of them work off of each other. They both need each other. The intuition isn't as strong, although it's the most powerful thing that you have for yourself. And the way it's not strong is that one always second guesses their intuition. So the intuition has developed a kind of character that is softer than the ego that is so loud. It's more acceptable to be an ego than to say, oh, I want to have a conversation about intuition. People are often too scattered or too distracted to say that they trust their intuition, and then it becomes almost like playing a game. Hence why we play a game with the devil, to see what the ego wants. Because if we can figure out what the ego wants that's so damn loud, we get to figure out the whispers of the intuition that are right behind it, saying, this is the course. I swear, it's like a great conversation between Aries energy and Virgo. It's the best way I can say it, where the Aries energy is ego and the Virgo energy is intuition. The ego is testing the limits of what it is that you know, seeing whether or not you can trust the indoctrinations of your mind, bring them out for you to play with, and see what truths are there, what truths foster your intuition, enough so that you feel healed and balanced, and more convinced that you can be whoever it is that you want to be. Fortune, Six of Swords, shit. Judgment, I was just gonna say the universe is fucking loud here. Two of Pentacles and a Page of Pentacles, Princess of Discs. Ego wants to dance. Best way to entertain, one of the best ways to entertain the devil energy, the ego, is to strap on some headphones and listen to some good old music. It will trigger so many untapped or maybe tapped emotions for you due to just remembrances and the memories that they hold that allow you to dance in decision making, dance in the confidence of who you are, and trusting that you don't need to have it all figured out just yet. That it's part of the game that makes it fun and part of the life experience. The devil energy will distract you into thinking that you don't need to meditate. But then you'd be surprised by how much you may actually are meditating through experiences, through staring at something, daydreaming. People would be surprised at to know how much they're actually meditating when their eyes are open, instead of being forced to go the indoctrinated version and say you can only meditate and reach Zen when you're in lotus pose position and your eyes are closed. False. Because my body doesn't feel very comfortable in a lotus position very often, and I meditate and have reached a version of all sorts of light vibrations, and I'm like, I did not sit in no type of position to ask for any of these light codes to come in my way. I didn't, you don't have to accrue time and allot time for meditation to then think, oh, you're going to receive. No. Receiving universal blessing comes with experience, not with being a good structured individual. It's to live. That's why in devil spelled backwards is lived, right? And evil is lived backwards. The contradictions that exist in human language. 7 of Wands, 8 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, 10 of Wands, High Priestess, and Knight of Swords. There's that 7 energy. Taking the power of what it is that makes you you. And studying yourself intently. Making things line up for themselves, but not being so worried how they line themselves up. But allowing yourself to just go with the flow and seeing how you can be available for the hurdles along the way to be able to jump over them, to learn how to begin healing wounds, because some wounds heal by themselves sometimes, not because time heals all wounds, but because your consciousness travels with the light, thus accruing time and thus accruing healing. Alright, I'm going to leave the dance with the devil where it is. I offer ways for you to reach out for me below in the description box. I wish you a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are in the ether of time and space, and that you consider subscribing to both of my channels. I'm wishing you a wonderful one, and may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.